Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to What's Better, Raw or Smackdown, where I compare both shows and decide which one's better. Last week, SmackDown was better, so let's see if they can follow that same path this week. I've obviously getting the show up late again because I ended up watching Elimination Chamber later than I wanted to, so I do apologize for that. Um, but yeah, now that I finally have a chance to sit down now to watch the shows, and I'm going to do just that. So it's going to be very interesting now because we have SmackDown that's now on the road to WrestleMania. They've had their final pay per view, whereas Raw hasn't had the is still on the road to WrestleMania, but it hasn't had their final pay per view yet. Raw is on the road to Fastlane, so it's going to be kind of interesting to review both shows in that aspect. It's going to be interesting to see what matches get added to Fastlane and Mania. So I am kind of looking forward to seeing because we're going to see two different paths for both shows, which is kind of nice. Um, so yeah, now that I've kind of talked about it, let's review both shows. Okay, so I'm gonna start by watching Raw since Raw is always before SmackDown, and I'm gonna preview Raw and about stuff that's on it. I'm actually kind of looking forward to watching Raw, mainly because Elimination Chamber kind of put me in a bad taste to watch SmackDown, which I'll get to that. So Raw is gonna be a little bit of a different, fresher product for me. So I am kind of looking forward to watching Raw, and I'm hoping that it puts me in a better mood, because I'm actually kind of not in a good mood after watching Elimination Chamber. Um, so let's kind of preview the stuff that's going to be on Raw. We're going to have the debut of Emelina finally. I'm happy she's finally debuting because it's been about time. It's been hyped up, I believe, since like October. And so she's finally going to debut. Um, and it's going to be bad and no one's going to like it. And we also have a Raw Women's Championship match. Raw Women's Champion Charlotte Flair versus Bayley. They're going to have a good match. They always have good matches together. The Royal Rumble match was good, so I expect the match to be good here. So I can't, and I kind of can't wait to see what they do there. And then we have the thing I'm looking forward to the most to watching Raw, and that's the Festival of Friendship with Jericho. And I can't wait to see what happens there. Because anytime they're in a segment together, they just kill it. So Raw looks like it's going to be a solid show. So now that I've kind of previewed it, let me actually review Raw itself. Okay, so Raw took place on uh, February 13th, 2017. And we had Corey Graves, Michael Cole, and Byron Saxton on commentary for this show. And the show starts off with Stephanie McMahon coming out to cut a promo, and she says that because of Mick Foley's attitude last week, the way he was acting when he had signed Samoa Joe, she said that she gave him the week off, and he'll be back next week, fully refreshed and everything, because she feels like he's been working too hard. And she goes to continue, but then Roman Reigns comes out. And he pretty much says that he doesn't want to wait till Fastlane. He wants to face Braun Strowman right now. And Stephanie McMahon says, "Well, I'm a man of the people. I'll give the people what they want. You want to see that right now?" And then they cheer. And then she says, "This just proves, Roman, that the people don't care about you. But I do, and I don't want to see you get hurt. So you're gonna have to wait till Fastlane." And then Roman Reigns says, "I don't care what anybody thinks. I want to have Braun Strowman right here tonight." And then Stephanie McMahon says, "Well, that's not going to happen because Braun Strowman already has a match tonight against Mark Henry." So then Roman Reigns says, "Well, maybe I'll come out during that match then." And then Stephanie McMahon says, "Well, if you do that, then I'll cancel the match at Fastlane, and you'll lose any chance you've had of appearing at WrestleMania." And then Roman Reigns says, "I don't care." So then Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson come out, and they pretty much are sick of the way that Roman Reigns is disrespecting Stephanie McMahon. So they tell him that you're not going to get your hands on Braun Strowman tonight, but they want to take him on 2-on-1 in a handicap match. So Stephanie McMahon grants him that, and Roman Reigns immediately goes on the outside. He attacks him. He beats the crap out of Carl Anderson. Then Luke Gallows throws him back first into the apron, And then the match officially starts. Gallows and Anderson dominate a good portion of the matchup, but then Roman Reigns starts to make a comeback. He hits a Superman punch and on Carl Anderson, but then Luke Gallows comes into the ring, beats the crap out of Roman Reigns, and Gallows and Anderson put the boots to Reigns, and they just beat the crap out of him. And you're supposed to tag in and out, but they just kind of just do whatever they want, stay in the ring and beat the crap out of Reigns. So the referee calls off the match. So I guess Roman Reigns won by disqualification. And then afterwards, they go to hit the Magic Killer on Reigns. Reigns fights out of it, and he hits a Superman. He throws Carl Anderson out of the ring. He hits a Superman punch on Luke Gallows, and then Carl Anderson tries to come in with the chair. Roman Reigns grabs it and stands tall with the chair. I thought this was good. This made Roman Reigns look strong since he's going to be facing Braun Strowman at Fastlane. And you had the champions. You had Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson still look strong. They didn't have to. They didn't lose. They just got disqualified, and they were able to fight. And Roman Reigns was able to fight them off. So I thought, I thought that this was good. And then we had the list of Jericho video package. It pretty much just shows all the moments where Chris Jericho put people on the list. So they show a lot of video package building up to the Festival of Friendship, which I'm going to get into that later on in the show. And then we had the next match. It was Kofi Kingston with Big E and Xavier Woods versus Bo Dallas. And the New Day come out and they talk about how Bo Dallas is all lonely in the ring, and Kofi Kingston says, "You're like a social outcast." And it was obviously a joke because he used to be in the stable called the Social Outcasts. And Big E's like, "That wasn't funny." And he says, "But we want to deliver on something that we promised, and we want to give ice cream." And Xavier Woods says that after Kofi Kingston easily disposes of Bo Dallas, they're going to reveal the blueprints for an ice cream machine. So, Kofi Kingston and Bo Dallas have the match. Kingston knocks Dallas out of the ring, and he grabs the blueprints, and Xavier Woods are all upset. After everyone was chanting, "We want ice cream," and Xavier Woods was playing it to the trombone, so that's why he did this. And Bo Dallas rips up the blueprints, and the New Day's really upset about it. Xavier Woods' look on his face was priceless. And then Kofi Kingston drop kicks him through the ropes, which made Kofi Kingston look like an idiot to begin with, because he could have just drop kicked him before he ripped up the plans. You just sat back and watched it, but whatever. And then he gets in the win. Bo Dallas dominates the matchup. He hits a swinging neckbreaker from the ropes. And I actually thought he was going to get Kingston right there, but he didn't. And then Kingston wins with the SOS, so he didn't even beat Dallas with his finisher. But the match was alright. I'm really not a huge Bo Dallas fan, but I thought Kingston carried him throughout this match. And then next, Neville gets interviewed, and he gets asked about what he thinks about facing Jack Gallagher at Fastlane. And he says that Jack Gallagher isn't even on his level, and he's going to easily dispose of him at Fastlane. And then Jack Gallagher comes up and he's like, "Is that right, you clever boy?" And he says that the one time the Queen of England said, and he's like, "No, you don't have the right to make that reference." And he says that they're not in the same league. And he said he says that James Ellsworth just looks like a little boy. And then Jack Gallagher says, "You always complain that people make fun of the way you look, but nobody hates you because of that. They hate you because you're a Pettini," I think is what he called him. I actually forget exactly what it was, but I thought it was good. I kind of wish they had a promo segment where they could have cut promos back and forth. But this backstage segment was good, and I can't wait to see the match between Gallagher and Neville at Fastlane for the title. And then it shows the Hell in a Cell match when Chris Jericho helped Kevin Owens retain his WWE Universal Championship. And then we had the next match. It was Noam Dar with Alicia Fox versus Jack Gallagher. And Austin Aries took Byron Saxton's spot on commentary. And then this match was alright. Noam Dar dominates and works over the knee of Jack Gallagher. And eventually Gallagher hits the headbutt to the chest and a drop kick in the corner for the win. And that was it. But I thought it was fine. And afterwards Neville comes out and they have a face-off. So, I thought this was fine. And then it shows Samoa Joe and Triple H arrive in backstage. And obviously they do some huge things on this show. And then we had the makeover of Emma to Emmalina video package where she's finally going to where she's finally going to debut. So then it shows the highlight reel from November. it was just a highlight reel in November. What kept the highlight reel after Thanksgiving, so I thought that was good. And then we had the debut of Emelina. So she comes out. She's wearing a gold dress, and she pretty much says the same thing that she says in her vignette. Now you guys have waited so long. You've been so patient, and you guys had to wait 17 months to see me, the new Emelina, and I went out and changed. And it had the makeover of Emma to Emelina, and now you guys are going to see the makeover of Emelina to Emma, and then she leaves. So why are they going? So now I don't know where they're going with this. The thing I'm thinking that's going to happen is now she's going to transform back to Emma, but it's like, what, all that anticipation for a build up, and now we have to kind of see her transform again, and we're going to see those video packages again. I kind of hope they jazz this up. Because this debut was very anticlimactic. They built to this debut, and this is what we got. I thought it was very disappointing. I mean, I wasn't expecting a lot, but I was expecting more than what they gave me. So, and then Bayley gets interviewed, and she talks about how she's looking forward to being the main event of Raw. It was something she always dreamed about, and Stephanie McMahon never, was always frowned upon her, and people like Charlotte Flair have always frowned upon her. But she's going to prove that tonight she belongs, and she's going to hold up that Raw Women's Championship and do it for everybody that's ever believed in her. And then Jericho's backstage, and Chris Jericho talked about this festival of friendship, and how he's looking forward to it, how it's going to be a great celebration, and Kevin Owens is going to get something he never expected, and Kevin Owens says he's looking forward to it as well. And then Triple H comes up, and he says that he wants to talk to Kevin Owens alone. So obviously this leads to something later on in the night. So then it shows Kevin Owens and Triple H backstage, and we see them talking, but we can't necessarily hear what they're saying, so obviously we know what's happening here. Then the next match was Braun Strowman versus Mark Henry, and this match was a solid match. I thought it was okay. It accomplished what it needed to do. Braun Strowman, well, they start chain wrestling each other, but then eventually Braun Strowman takes him down with a right hand and a clothesline, and then he dominates the back of Mark Henry, and then eventually Mark Henry makes a comeback. He hits 2 splashes in the corner, and he goes for the world's strongest slam, but Braun Strowman's too big for him to hit the move, so he falls on him, and then Strowman hits a power slam on Henry for the win. And afterwards, since the match is over, Roman Reigns decides to come out, and he goes to go on the apron, but Strowman knocks him off, and this surprises Reigns, but Reigns gets back in the ring, hangs up Strowman on the top rope, and he hits a Superman punch on Strowman, and then he goes for the spear on Strowman, but Strowman hits a knee to the face of Reigns, and a power slam on Reigns, and stands tall afterwards, and he says, "You can't beat me." I thought that was great. And obviously, I thought it made Braun Strowman look like a monster, and it makes Roman Reigns have to look like he has to overcome some obstacles, so I thought that was great. And then next it shows the roadblock end of the line match, where Chris Jericho ended up helping Kevin Owens yet again retain his WWE Universal Championship. I thought that was good. I thought, that was good. And then Sheamus, Cesaro, and Bayley are backstage, and Cesaro's helping Bayley train for her Raw Women's Championship match. And then Enzo Amore and Big Cass come up, and Enzo Amore's like, "What do we got over here?" And then Cesaro's like, "What do we got over here? It's a couple of chumps that cost us." No, as Sheamus says, it's a couple of chumps that cost us the Raw Tag Team Championships. And Big Cass, says that, Carl Anderson struck Enzo first. He was just sticking up for him. I couldn't let that slide. And then Enzo's like, "So what are you going to do about it?" And Sheamus says, "Well, maybe I'll beat you even uglier and wipe that smirk off your face." And then Cesaro says, "No, maybe I'll do that." And then he's like, and then he starts talking trash about Big Cass is behind him. So it leads to a match later on tonight. So I think this is probably going to build to either a one-on-one WWE Raw Tag Team Title #1 contenders match between Cesaro and Sheamus and Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, or a triple threat tag team title Raw Tag Team Title match between Gallows and Anderson, Sheamus and Cesaro, and Enzo and Cass. So that's where I think it's going. And then next, Michael Cole interviews Samoa Joe, and I thought this was a great interview. Um, Michael Cole asks him, um, people feel like you had a unflattering debut, not unflattering, but um you pretty much that you haven't been you since your debut you've been um making it your actions have been unbearable, and he says that he doesn't really care about that. He says he's here to brutalize people, and Michael Cole asks him why Triple H called him up, whether or not he's afraid of Seth Rollins, and that's why he brought you up. And he says that I don't think, because at first he asked him like, why did Triple H call you up from NXT? And he's like, I think the results speak for themselves. And then he says that it doesn't matter whether Triple H is afraid of Seth Rollins or not. That he doesn't have to really answer why he called me up. So then he talks about how he asks Samoa Joe what makes him different than any other NXT superstar, and he says that he's the most dominant NXT superstar that he's ever seen. He's traveled the world for 18 years, and he says that he's loyal to Triple H, is willing to do anything that he can to pay him back, and how he's going to be a huge star on Monday Night Raw, and then Michael Cole asks him how it pretty much felt to take out Seth Rollins, and he says that he's wreaked havoc since he's come up here, and he says that he took out Seth Rollins, a guy that had been a top guy for Monday Night Raw for years, and he couldn't even last 2 minutes with me, and then he did the same thing to Roman Reigns, and he says that he's beaten the he said that he's beaten the man and the guy, and there's nobody here left for him to. And he's in just 2 weeks, and he's putting the roster on notice. And he even mentions that the WWE was afraid to bring him in because of this destruction. And then Michael Cole asks him if Seth Rollins is going to get his hands on Triple H, and then Samoa's like, "Let me ask you something. Is this an interview about Triple H? Because you keep putting his name up, and it gets annoying." And Michael Cole's like, "No, it's about you." But then Samoa Joe says that if Seth Rollins does come back, he'll just put him on the shelf again. And then Samoa Joe, talks about the other stuff. And then Michael Cole, the final question he asks him is, what makes you different than the other guys that Triple H has mentored? And he says what makes him different is that everybody else needed Triple H to hold their hand. They always needed Triple H's help to get ahead. And he said that he doesn't need Triple H help. He's going to do it all by himself. And he says that he's going to destroy everybody on the roster. And he also mentions that he's not here to make people happy like Sami Zayn is. He's not just happy to be on Raw. He's here to make a statement. And then that was it. Now, obviously, this is the Sami Zayn thing leads to something later on in the night, so that's why I mentioned it now. He very specifically only said Sami Zayn, so you're gonna see where this goes. But I thought this was a very well done interview by Samoa Joe. I thought it was a nice way to introduce us to him, so I thought it was really good. Then we had the next match. It was Sami Zayn versus Rusev with Lana. I thought this was a good match. Sami Zayn dominates the first half of it, but then Rusev knocks him off the apron. He hits a kick to the head, and then he goes up to go off the top rope, but Rusev counters into another kick to the head, and then Rusev throws him out of the ring, throws him into the barricade, and throws him back into the ring, and then Rusev goes to get back in the ring, and actually there was a funny spot too where Rusev hit a fallaway slam, and he has like a broken nose, so he's wearing a face mask, so his face mask fell off. I thought that was pretty funny. But then Sami Zayn hits the haluva kick for the win, and I was actually pretty surprised. I didn't really know who was going to win because they're not really doing anything with these guys, but Sami Zayn pulled out the victory, which I was surprised about. Sucks to be Rusev, but then afterwards he gets interviewed on the stage, and he gets asked how it felt for him to lose the U.S. title match with Chris Jericho. And he says that he felt like it was really building momentum before then, but that loss he's not going to lie, it said it really sucks. But it's about picking yourself back up when you're down, and he says that he's going to do whatever it take, and he says that it didn't help that Kevin Owens even cost him, but he says about picking yourself up. It's not about whining and crying. It's about picking yourself back up. And he says that Samoa Joe just says he's a guy that smiles and just is happy to be here. Or he says that he's going to do things the right way. He's not going to take the coward's way out and do anybody's dirty work like Samoa Joe does. And then he says, but now let me get back to what I was talking about. Now everything's pointing to WrestleMania. But then Samoa Joe's music hits. And Sami Zayn waits for him to come out. But then Samoa Joe blindsides Sami Zayn and beats the crap out of him, throws him into the screen, into the like the Titantron, and then eventually Samoa Joe gets him into the Corkia clutch and chokes him out. So this is gonna probably be a match at Fastlane, which I'd be fine with. It kind of sucks that it seems like Sami Zayn's gonna get squashed by somebody else, but Sami Zayn, I feel like Sami Zayn is a good place for him to start for somebody to start feuding with, so I'm fine with it. And then we have the next Hall of Fame induction announcement. It's going to be Theodore Long. I definitely think he deserves it. Teddy Long was always somebody that you actually felt like he was legitimately was having fun. He's managed some top tag teams in the wrestling business. He's managed people like Mark Henry. He's managed Jacqueline. He managed Psycho Sid, or just Sid Justice. He managed I believe he managed Rocky Johnson and Farouk. So he's managed the top tag teams. He also was the general manager of Smackdown, and he's you always felt like Teddy Long was having fun when he was out there. He loved being out there, and you felt that enthusiasm. And Teddy Long, I definitely think, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And obviously some things I'm going to remember is him going holla holla holla, and so him saying player, and him going like this, and obviously his favorite stuff was a tag team match, player, and it's gonna be if anyone's gonna induct him, I hope it's the Undertaker. That shit would be awesome. But Teddy Long definitely but it's all seriousness, he definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He's done a lot of stuff, and he's always had fun when he was wrestling, or when he was on TV. Any role he was in, he took. So I'm happy that Teddy Long's going into the Hall of Fame. He definitely deserves it. If you say that he doesn't, then you're delusional. He may not have been a wrestler, but he was a good manager. He was a good referee. He was a good, he contributed other things than just being a wrestler. I find it kind of funny though that, and I even remember too, like when he got kidnapped by the Undertaker, and Undertaker's like, "Buckle up, Teddy." And obviously when he did the whole Mojo screw job, and then when he was found all tied up and everything, and then when Vince McMahon put him on probation, when he had his heart attack, which is really weird that I remember that, but I remember him having a heart attack when he was going to marry Crystal. And he's had some very interesting stuff. I remember him, getting attacked by Dolph Ziggler, then returning as the SmackDown GM on like the 900th episode of SmackDown, I believe it was, or 800th or 700th, I forget which one. The stuff with him and the Vicky Guerrero had great altercations. I remember him and Booker T worked together at one point too, so it's like, and him and JBL, the altercations they would have. I remember he would put MVP in like these hellacious matches when he was the GM. Teddy Long was a great GM. He definitely did contribute a lot to the wrestling business, and I kind of wish they had kept him around, because he definitely, I think, could have benefited some stuff. So I like Teddy Long. Then the next match was Akira Tozawa versus Arya Daivari with the Brian Kendrick on commentary. And since this was a cruiserweight match, Austin Aries again took Byron Saxton's place on commentary. And I thought this was a good match here. Akira Tozawa gets in a roll in the beginning, but then Arya Daivari gets in control with a hammerlock clothesline. But then Akira Tozawa makes a comeback, hits a suicide dive through the ropes, hits a crossbody, get into the win. Then eventually Akira Tozawa hits a quick German suplex for the win. And afterwards, the Brian Kendrick's clapping. And the storyline they're going with is the Brian Kendrick is making believe that Arya Daivari that he's the mentor of Arya Daivari. Arya Daivari is his protege. Not Arya Daivari, sorry. Akira Tozawa is his protege. and I guess that's not a bad storyline, but it's just kind of seems like it's just kind of it doesn't seem like the best storyline, and it seems like they're just kind of setting it up by match. Now, in this case, you kind of have to do that because Akira Tozawa can't really speak English, so he can't really cut promos. Um, so you kind of have to do this. So this feud has to be won the way it's being won because Akira Tozawa has, the difficulty where he can't really speak English. Not saying that it's a bad thing, but then next it shows the U.S. title match from last week where Kevin Owens helped Chris Jericho retain his title against Sami Zayn. And then we finally had it. We finally had the Festival of Friendship. And Chris Jericho's decked out all in Las Vegas gear. He's got like a nice silver suit. And, he comes out with Showgirls. And then Kevin Owens comes out. And he doesn't really seem like he's as into it. But Chris Jericho seems like he's really into it. It's awesome. And he says that welcome to the Festival of Friendship. This is just to show my friendship with Kevin Owens. And he says, I hope you guys enjoy. We have a great treat for you tonight. And, he says, I'm doing all this for you, Owens. I'm doing all this to prove my friendship to you. So then he says that, and he even had it so far where we had an art get sculpted. And it shows an artist and it shows two people making out pretty much. Which was weird. And Kevin Owens was like, what is that? It's like, it just shows how inseparable we are. And Owens is like, and Owens just is really creeped out by it. He's like, I guess thanks, Chris. And he's like, well, the art's not for everyone, but now we're going to show you the portrait of Owens or something like that. And he reveals it, and it's like the Adam and Eve poster parody, but with Chris Jericho taking the Adam part and Jericho and Owens taking the Eve part, and Owens is like, what is that, man? He's like, it's Adam and Eve. It's like, you're the Eve and I'm Adam. That's how Jesus was made. And then Jericho says that he could hang that up at his house and he could look at it forever. And Owens is like, I can't hang that up by my house. I got 2 kids, man. They can't be seeing you. You're not even wearing pants. And he's like, you don't need pants to have out for out, which was awesome. And he's like, well, okay, art's not for everybody. It takes time for it to sink in, but I got you. The friendship, the magician. So then he shows up and he has scarves comes out of his mouth, and he does a magic trick where he lights something on fire and turns it into a rose, and he gives it to Kevin Owens, and then Kevin Owens says, I just got one of my 9-year-old son a magic trick, and he's even done a trick like that. And then Jericho's like, oh, well, you know what happens when you don't impress Kevin Owens with your magic trick? You just made the list. So then he puts him on the list, and then he says, look, I know these gifts have seemed cliche, but I got you a real gift. The real gift I got you was the fact that I'm going to call to make sure that Goldberg can't make it to Fastlane, because I feel like I put you in that match. I'm going to call out Goldberg right now. So he does just that. And he's like, come on, Goldberg, so you can get. Then it goes to commercial, and he's still doing this. And he goes, it. And then he comes out. Goldberg's music plays. And who comes out? None other than Gilberg. I popped back and laughed my ass off of this. This was awesome. And then Kevin Owens beats the crap out of him. And throws him into the ring apron. And then Kevin Owens is like, are you serious, Chris? I thought you were going to actually produce us with me with Goldberg, and we were both going to beat the crap out of him and make sure he couldn't make it to Fastlane. You produced me with Gilberg. And then he's like, I actually thought the Gilberg thing was pretty funny. But he's like, you know what, Kevin? It's beside the point. I did all this because the last 6 months it's been being in the company, or the last year it's been being in the WWE has been one of the best ones I've ever had in my career, and it's because of you and my friendship. You're my best friend, you're my partner, and I've had a lot of friends and partners in this business, but nothing like you, and you've been the best one that I've had. And then he says that he doesn't just look at Kevin Owens as a friend, he looks at him as a brother, and he appreciates his friendship. And he says that you're going to be able to beat Goldberg at Fastlane because I'm going to have you back just like I had you back when you fought Rollins, when you fought Reigns, and when you fought Zayn. And I just wanted to show my friendship to you by this festival. So then Owens says, you know what? I appreciate your friendship too. And then he hugs him, and he even apologizes for not, accepting this. And then he says, "I even got you a gift too, but it's nowhere as near as big as the gift that um I get that you got me." So then he pulls out a present, and he's like, "For me?" And he's like, "Yeah, open it." And then he opens it, and he's like, "It's a new list. I love this. It has my old list is getting all worn out and stuff." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm glad you like it." And then Jericho reads it, and he's like, "Why is my name on the list?" And if you look in the back of it, it actually said the list of KO. And Owens drops the mic, and he gets serious, and he attacks Chris Jericho, and he beats the crap out of him. And I thought the way they did this was perfect. When Jericho's like, "Why is my name on the list?" And then Owens throws him into the barricade, and he hits the power bomb into the apron, which takes out Chris Jericho, so he's probably going to be out for a few weeks. And then afterwards, he gets him in the ring, and then he says, "I hate you," and he throws Jericho through. They had like this big glass that had a festival of friendship, like the TV screen, and he throws Jericho right into it. And then Owens walks out, and he looked really dominant here. I thought this was absolutely fantastic, and I totally didn't see it coming. So now we're officially going to get it. We're going to get Jericho versus Owens at Mania, either for the WWE Universal title or for the United States title. And I just can't wait to see that match. I hope they do it for the WWE Universal title, but I don't think that's going to happen. But it is kind of sad that we're not going to see them as best friends anymore, because I am going to miss those segments together. But now they're going to have even better segments, because now they're actually going to be feuding with each other. And Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, I think are going to have a great feud. And, usually, and Owens got booed out of the building when he did this too. And this is just an example. Just because a guy comes from all over the world doesn't mean he's always going to get a good reaction. Because Owens got booed when this happened. Mainly because, too, everybody loves Jericho. But this just proves if you book it right, you can have a proper heel turn and have him get the right reaction. And I thought this was great. You could kind of see, too, that this was going to happen, too. They kind of planted the seeds for it by showing the video packages for the friendship and the fact that Triple H was there and they had that little conversation. So I think now we're going to, now that Triple H is back on television, we're going to see more of an alliance with Triple H and Kevin Owens. And even Samoa Joe. And can you imagine the team up, having Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe on the same side? No one would be able to stop them. So I thought this was awesome. My only problem with it, and it's nothing that against the segment, but it's the fact that it didn't end the show. This really should have ended the show. I don't know why it didn't end the show. I get you. What did end the show was nice, but this should have ended the show. You should have ended the show with Owen standing over Jericho, beaten, battered, and bruised, and they didn't do that. I thought that was kind of a mistake. But then we had the next match, and it was Enzo Amore with Big Cass versus Cesaro with Sheamus. And Enzo Amore and Big Cass kind of promo. Enzo Amore says that Cesaro calls himself the Swiss Superman, but yet he comes out here like James Bond, and he's like, "You're gonna have to make up your mind, but tonight you're gonna go home to your wife and as not as a Swiss Superman." So we had the match. Pretty much Cesaro dominates in the whole match. The only offense Enzo got was a tornado DDT, and then Cesaro beats him with the uppercut. And then him and Sheamus and Big Cass have a face-off. So probably next week, Sheamus and Big Cass are going to have a match. So, this was alright. And then Charlotte Flair's backstage. And then Sasha Banks comes up. And Charlotte's like, "What are you doing back here?" And she says that if this was my WWE, you wouldn't even be here anymore. I would make sure you have you fired. And then she even says that, "Are you here to watch me destroy Bayley backstage?" And then Sasha says that even though I haven't had the best success lately, people always looked at us as equals, and you know that. And then Charlotte says that we don't look at us as equals because while you've been failing, I've been going out there having kick-ass Raw Women's title matches. And then she walks off. And then we had the main event. It was a Raw Women's Championship match. Raw Women's Champion Charlotte Flair versus Bayley. And I thought this was a really good main event. Charlotte and Bayley start chain wrestling each other, and then Charlotte rolls Bayley up and slams the back of her head against the second turnbuckle. So pretty much Charlotte targets the back of Bayley's neck, and she targets it for a long ass time. She even had to hit the neck breaker, and normally she just hits the neck breaker and just snaps her across her back, but she actually ended up holding her in a submission move, which I thought looked really cool. And Bayley tries to make a comeback, but Charlotte hits a big boot off the apron, and then she hits a moonsault off the barricade, and then eventually Bayley starts to make a comeback, and she hits a drop kick, and she hits a hurricanrana off the turnbuckle, and then she gets and Bayley starts to get into a roll. She goes for the Bayley to belly, but then Dana Brooke comes out. Bayley knocks her off the apron, and Charlotte tries to beat her with a roll up, but Bayley fights out of it and gets her into the figure 4 leg lock, and she has her in here, and then Dana Brooke thumbs her in the eye behind the referee's back, which is really random that Dana Brooke's just kind of back with Charlotte now. We haven't even seen her in a few weeks, so it was random. And then Charlotte puts her into the figure 8, and then Sasha Banks comes out to even the odds. She takes out Dana Brooke with a crutch, and then behind the referee's back, she hits Charlotte what looked like into the sternum with the crutch, and then Bayley hits the Bayley to belly for the win, and becomes the brand new Raw Women's Champion and celebrates with the title. And I was happy about this. I'm happy to see Bayley finally win the Raw Women's title. I thought that was awesome. The thing I hated about it is it's only going to probably last until Fastlane, because then Charlotte's just going to win the title back, and then she'll probably drop it at Mania for permanently this time. She won't get the title back, and she'll lose that pay-per-view streak, and then that was it. So it's like, I don't really like that they do this type of stuff. Like, why do they have Charlotte drop the title on Raw, and then she just wins it right back at the pay-per-view the first chance she gets? It's terrible. I believe she'll be like they're really forcing Charlotte Flair, I think, down her floats. I believe that if she wins the title, the Raw Women's title, at Fastlane, then it will be the 5th time she's held the Raw Women's title. So it's just like, that's just way too much. So it's just, talk about that. That's a force. That's forcing somebody. And like I said, I did like Bayley finally winning the title in the main event, but I personally think the main event should have been, the last thing on the show should have been the Fiesta Bowl of Friendship, because of what Jericho finally turned on Owens. It is something you've been building to, and I personally think this kind of sucks for Kevin Owens, that his title reign has been good, but it seems like it takes a lot. It's been taking a backseat to the woman, and I feel like that kind of sucks for Kevin Owens, because he's the main champion on the show and he's taking a backseat to the Raw Women's title. And like, his matches on pay-per-views have people are both focused on more the Sasha Banks Charlotte Flair feud than his title reign. And tonight there was no reason that this match, the Raw Women's title match, should have main evented. There was no reason for it. You could have put this. I get you want to send the people home happy, but it's like, at the same time, I think the placement was better for the Fiesta for a Friendship to be in the main event. I'm probably the only one that says this because of the fact that, because I think too much critically about this, but I personally think that the Fiesta Full of Friendship belonged in the main event segment. That's just personally what I thought. But yeah, overall, I actually thought Raw was a really good show. I really enjoyed Raw. It was definitely a step up from watching Elimination Chamber just prior to this, but I thought Raw was a really enjoyable show. I pretty much, let me take a look at the stuff I liked on it. I pretty much, I think, liked everything on it. The Festival of Friendship was definitely the highlight of the night. Stephanie McMahon's promo was good, and the stuff with Roman Reigns I thought was good. He actually looked like a badass. I like that they're booking him that way. The handicap tag team match was okay. Kingston versus Bo Dallas was okay. Noam Dar, the Jack Gallagher, the cruiserweights were okay this week. And the addition of Samoa Joe and Triple H I thought was good. Emelina debut I didn't really care for. The stuff they did with Triple H and, with him talking to Kevin Owens I thought was good. The Braun Strowman Mark Henry match I thought was solid. The backstage segment with Enzo and Cass and Sheamus was good, and the match between Cesaro and Enzo Amore was alright. Michael Cole, the interview with Samoa Joe, I thought was really well done. Sami Zayn and Rusev had a good match, and I'd like to follow up afterwards with Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn. And the main event I thought was good. So if I had to grade Raw, I'm gonna grade it a 8 out of 10. I thought it was a really good show. All right, so now on to SmackDown for February 7th, 2017. So I'm just gonna kind of preview SmackDown. Um, so I only know like one match, and that one match is making me not want to watch the show. And that match is John Cena versus Randy Orton. You know, we're gonna get it at WrestleMania, so why not just get it? A few weeks early. You know, Randy Orton won the Rumble. They've been setting up that match last. They kind of set up that match last week. They're trying to make it feel like that we haven't seen this match before when we really have. You know, we've seen it, 19 times, I believe it was. It's getting old. I don't want to see this match anymore. Just let the feud die. But I guess it ain't gonna die. We're gonna get it here, and we're gonna get it at WrestleMania. Fuck WWE. Okay, so yeah, I look different from the last take, don't I? You stop and go to bed for the night and stuff. You could come out getting a haircut and everything. I hope you guys did notice because it's pretty damn noticeable. So yeah, I did get my haircut, but let me get to the actual SmackDown show itself. We had Tom Phillips, JBL, Mauro Ranallo, and David Otunga on commentary for this show. And the show opens up with Bray Wyatt. And he said that he didn't really ever picture this moment happening. He already knew it was going to happen because Sister Abigail told him this was going to happen. And he said that now that he has the WWE title, he has the power. And he has that power, and he's going to take that power to WrestleMania. And then John Cena comes out. And him and Wyatt have a rematch for the title. So they were using this to build this match up. And John Cena comes out and says that Bray Wyatt's worked very hard to get to the title. But he's turned everybody into their followers because they keep chanting that he deserves it. And he's a hell of a talent, but he manipulates people. And he says that he wants them to face off for the title right now. But then AJ Styles comes out and says that he's going to get the title match before Cena because he's owed a rematch. And he says that he's beaten John Cena a handful of times. He says he's got to go behind him. So then Daniel Bryan comes out and makes it a triple threat match for the title. I thought this promo segment was good. Nothing fantastic, but good. It was a good way to set up to the main event, so I thought it was good. It's just still really weird for me to see Wyatt as champion, and I'm still very mixed about him being champion just because of the fact that Bray Wyatt is obviously a transitional champion. He's not going to be holding the title very long. He's obviously going to drop it at Mania because that's just what's going to happen. So I don't really want to see that. And then Dean Ambrose is backstage. And he's looking for Baron Corbin, trying to find him because he wants to beat the crap out of him for causing him the WWE Championship at Elimination Chamber. And then we had the first actual match on the show. It was a tag team match. It was American Alpha versus the Ascension. And I thought this was a solid tag team match. The Ascension get the heat on Chad Gable for a while. They hit a clothesline into a high knee. And eventually Jason Jordan gets the hot tag. He throws Connor halfway across the ring. And he goes to finish him off, and he tags Chad Gable back in. They're gonna finish him off, but Connor throws Chad Gable out of the ring, and then the Ascension hit a double hit, just drop Chad Gable down and cover him, but he kicks out, and then eventually American Alpha win by hitting Grand Amplitude on Victor. But overall, I thought it was a solid match, nothing fantastic. And afterwards, the Usos come on the screen, and the Usos talk about how they're celebrating now, but they weren't celebrating when they took out Chad Gable and injured his knee, when they beat him up at Elimination Chamber. And they say since when their hairs on their back stands up and they're feeling the potential of getting jumped by the Usos, um, it's not being paranoid. It's fact. And then that was it. So obviously, I think now they're gonna fully go with the Usos versus American Alpha for the SmackDown Tag Team titles going into WrestleMania, which I'm fine with, because it's a match that a program that they kind of went away from that I wish they had, and I'm glad they're gonna go right back to it. And I thought the Usos cut a pretty good promo here. Um, and then James Ellsworth and Carmella are backstage. And James Ellsworth wants to take Carmella out to eat since it's Valentine's Day. But Carmella says no. She just wants to keep things professional. And, she still thinks that he's very cute. And then Dean Ambrose pops up still looking for Baron Corbin. And he gives James Ellsworth some advice that Carmella's just using him and to get a new fashion sense. And then Carmella makes fun of him, saying that it looked like he just came out of a laundry mat. And Dean Ambrose says that and then James Ellsworth wants him to defend her, because he says something rude to her. So then Daniel Bryan comes up, and Dean Ambrose wants to just beat up James Ellsworth right now just to get some steam off. So Daniel Bryan grants the match. So I thought this was an alright backstage segment. But then we had the actual match itself. It was James Ellsworth with Carmella versus Dean Ambrose. And James Ellsworth introduces Carmella. And Dean Ambrose's music hits, but he doesn't come out for a while. And then we see Baron Corbin pulling Dean Ambrose out. Apparently Baron Corbin had jumped him from behind. And he beats the crap out of him, but Dean Ambrose he goes to hit the end of days on him, and they're fighting over by the stage. And Dean Ambrose tries to fight back. He jumps off and one of those equipment boxes that was up on the stage, and then eventually he goes to charge at him, and Baron Corbin hits a deep six right into the technical area through the table, and it ended up exploding a little bit. And I actually thought this was good. I thought this made Baron Corbin look really strong. And obviously, I think they're setting up to a Intercontinental Championship match between Ambrose and Corbin at Mania, where they're going to put the IC title probably on Corbin, which I'd be absolutely fine with. And then next, Nikki Bella and Daniel Bryan are backstage. And Daniel Bryan think that this thing between Nikki and Natalya has gotten out of control. And Nikki's like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, she attacks me everywhere I go. She attacks me when I'm getting interviewed. She attacks me when I'm having a match. So then Daniel Bryan says that I have something that's going to make both of you very happy. So then Natalya comes up and says, oh, what? What are you going to do? Give her a SmackDown Women's title match just because she's married to John and because she's your sister-in-law? So then they start bickering at each other. Nikki Bella says that if Natalya didn't attack her at Survivor Series, that Team SmackDown would have beaten Raw. Natalya says that Nikki Bella is the one that started all of this. So then eventually they stop brawling with each other. Daniel Bryan calls for security to break it up, and he gets angry, and he says that you guys keep squandering opportunities every chance I get. Every time I have you have a match in the ring. So next week you guys are going to have a Falls Count Anywhere match. And then that was it. So pretty much they have in the match that they should have had at the pay-per-view. I mean, the blow-off should have come at the pay-per-view, not on an episode of Smackdown. But overall, I thought this was a good backstage segment. And I have a feeling next week's going to be the final blow-off of the match. Hold on. I have some stuff popping up. And then Baron Corbin gets interviewed, and he says that the reason he attacked Ambrose is because he cost him the title, and Ambrose is leaving tonight going to the hospital because of me. And then Dolph Ziggler gets interviewed, and he says that he's going to take out pretty much the entire new era because they're trying to make it a name off his expense, and he's sick and tired of losing all the time. And he says that, they all come from the same place. They hope to have these big dreams, but his dreams are going to get crushed by him. It really wasn't much of a heel promo. It was mainly the same Dolph Ziggler that cuts the babyface promo, so I really didn't get that. And so I really didn't care for that reason. Then we had the next match. It was Becky Lynch versus Mickie James. I thought this was a good women's match. I thought the match of the pay-per-view was better. Mickie James dominates the matchup for a little bit, but then Becky Lynch makes a comeback. She hits a Hurricanrana off the top rope, and she tosses Becky Lynch out of the ring, and she ends up landing awkwardly on her arm. So the referee's checking on her. Mickie James says that she dislocated her arm. So Becky Lynch goes to check on her, but Mickie James hits the mid kick on Becky Lynch for the win, and pretty much schools her out, which is what should have happened at the pay-per-view, but they did it here, which is fine. So I expect a blow-off match for this to come at WrestleMania or on an episode of Smackdown. But I thought this was good. Then Naomi cuts a promo, and we find out that she was injured in a match for the SmackDown Women's title. She said that she injured her knee, which is she probably injured it when she hit the split-legged moonsault on Alexa Bliss in the SmackDown Women's title match. And she says that at first she didn't realize it was her, but once this moment of her winning the title finally sunk in, she felt it when she went back to her room. And but she said that it's not going to be enough to stop her. She's fought through many injuries, and she says that no one's going to stop her from keeping from staying on top because it took her so long to get here. And then Alexa Bliss comes out and pretty much says that Naomi's just now going to be a flash in the pan because she's already injured, and they're going to make a 30 for 30 thing for her. So Naomi wants to fight her right now, but Alexa Bliss doesn't want to. She said that she's going to give her 1 week, and either she's going to beat the crap out of her and take the title, or she'll just beat her in a match and take the title. So I thought this was a good segment to segue to that. I don't get, though, if Naomi's injured right now, why she just wouldn't invoke her rematch clause, but whatever. And then TJ Perkins backstage, and obviously this is a hype thing to get people to watch 205 Live. And he says that, that he's a former Cruiserweight champion, and after he defeats Neville tonight, he says that he plans on becoming a future Cruiserweight champion, and it's going to go right back to the original. So that was a pretty bland promo by TJ Perkins. And then we had the main event. It was a WWE Championship match. WWE Champion Bray Wyatt versus John Cena versus AJ Styles. And Bray Wyatt's making his entrance, and when he blows out the light bulb, Luke Harper's standing right behind him, and he beats the crap out of Bray Wyatt. I thought this was awesome, and he hits a super kick to his face and just beats the crap out of him, and referees have to tell him to leave. So the first half of the match is just Cena facing Styles, and Cena hits his 5 moves of doom. But Wyatt then pulls Cena out of the ring, throws him into the steps, and then Wyatt and Styles fight for a little bit. I thought they had a pretty good altercation, and then Cena gets back in the ring. He hits the AA on Styles. Styles kicks out. Wyatt hits the Sister Abigail on Cena. Cena kicks out. Then they continue to go back and forth with each other. Cena gets AJ Styles in a weak-ass STF. AJ Styles hits a springboard 450 onto the announce table, but it doesn't break. So then he hits a springboard leg drop to the table. It does break, and he goes for the phenomenal form. Cena counters into 2 AAs, and then Styles counters the STF into the calf crusher, and then eventually Cena hits the A on Wyatt when he comes back in the win, but Wyatt kicks out of that. And then Styles goes for the hits the Styles Clash with Cena. Cena kicks out. Then he goes for the phenomenal forearm. Wyatt shoves Cena into Styles, and Wyatt hits the Sister Abigail on Cena for the win and retains his title. So it was nice that Bray Wyatt went over. I thought he looked really strong. And then afterwards, Randy Orton comes out, and he pretty much takes his time to get into the ring. But then he cuts to the chase by saying that he won the Royal Rumble match and everything that comes with it. But since you're the champion and you're the master and I'm your server, he doesn't want to fight him at WrestleMania. So then he gets down on his hands and knees, and then Bray Wyatt grabs the mic and says, "You now have the keys to the kingdom, my friend." And then that was it. So this does make me question where this is going. Now that Orton doesn't want to face him at WrestleMania, I still expect Randy Orton to somehow swerve him. I really don't know where, because I thought it would have happened on this show at least to kind of finally build to it. But I think what's going to happen is he's going to have a little bit of a feud with Luke Harper, and he'll face him on a SmackDown for the title. Wyatt will retain, and then Randy Orton will finally turn on Bray Wyatt. So, and Luke Harper, it was cool that he interfered, but the interference really didn't end up working. Um, Wyatt still retained the title, so it's like I still think they're kind of blowing this whole Luke Harper face turn, because Wyatt's the one that's the champion, and Harper hasn't gotten anything from it. So it'd be nice if they put the title on Harper, but that's just not gonna happen. Um, and then I so and then but the main event I thought was a great match. I thought the match was really well done, but obviously we knew Wyatt was winning, and I still don't know what they're doing with Styles at Mania. Which is why I kind of am mad that he's not the champion right now. I heard rumors they want to go in certain directions with Styles, but I don't really like the directions they're going. And I could say I want to see him face Cena again, but it's like we've seen that match a lot. They've done everything you can do in that match. We don't need to see it anymore, but I would like to see maybe. But if that seems like the only other option they can go is to have him face Cena, and like maybe like in a 2 out of 3 falls match or something, and Styles beat Cena 2-zip. Because that would really put Styles over, and he can finally say he won the feud with Cena. They don't have any more matches unless it's like a tag match on Smackdown. Because where I hear they're gonna go with Styles, I'm not a fan of. But I'm gonna wait and see as I watch SmackDown as it goes on. And overall, I thought SmackDown was actually a pretty good show. I enjoyed the tag team match on this show. I enjoyed the triple threat match for the title. The build up between Orton and the White family triple threat. Corbin just laying out Dean Ambrose. The Nikki Bella Natalia stuff I thought was good. And the women's match I thought was good. And Naomi's promo was good. So overall, I thought SmackDown was a pretty good show. I'm gonna rate it a 6 out of 10 because I thought it was good. So if you want to know which show I thought was better, I thought Raw was better. I thought it just had better stuff on it. Um, it had Kevin Owens turning on Chris Jericho, Bayley winning the Raw Women's title. The stuff with Braun Strowman I thought was good. And Samoa Joe I thought was great on the show, and I just thought a better show overall. So overall, I thought Raw was better. SmackDown was still good, but not as good as Raw. Raw I'm going to give an 8 out of 10, and SmackDown I'm going to give a 6 out of 10. So um, Raw was able to beat SmackDown here. So now it's kind of getting into a point where it's back and forth, which I like. Okay, that's pretty much it, guys. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and my Wrestling Forge and Ford on the Talkinator channel. And that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.